Hi, everybody. I'm Jeffrey Driscoll.
And I'm Jim Kerr.
And welcome to 15 Minutes of Fame. Well, Jim, let's start out on the ice where we've had a couple of interesting notes involving Oilers, both bad. First up, the news on Taylor Hall.
Well, he needs surgery on a shoulder that he's had an injury with since junior, apparently. It's the second year in the NHL, so that goes back a little while. It'll need 5 to 6 months of rehab, which means training camp, maybe he's ready to go. Already out with a concussion, too. Don't forget that. So I guess they figured the time was right. There was a maybe perfect storm of he's going to be out for probably the rest of the season to be safe. There's no need to risk anything. And I think they saw a specialist and they said, yeah, this is it's time to get the shoulder done. So, I think some people are arguing maybe he should have had it done at the start of the year, this year, so he wouldn't be facing a whole off season of rehab. But hindsight's 20/20. I'm sure. I think we all thought the Oilers would be a little bit better than they were this year. And without Taylor Hall for the year, can you get lower than 29th to 30th? I don't know. Maybe they'd be top in the AHL.
That's right. Without Taylor Hall, it'd be like, we'd like to fight Columbus Blue Jackets for the last possible spot again.
Imagine if they had a relegation, Jeff.
Yes.
My God.
We're going to get to an AHL record a little bit later, but I'm not so sure that the Edmonton Oilers would be tops in the AHL. So we'll get to that in a little bit. He's played 65 and 61 games respectively in his first two NHL seasons. A lot of people are talking about whether or not he's going to be an injury-prone player. What do you think, Kersey?
Well, like you say, a lot of people are talking about it. I've heard the discussions both ways, but, if he's played through this problem for over 2 seasons and he's been as good as he has been, he's, over 20 goals in his rookie season, close to 30 in his second year, would have had 30 if he's playing a full season. I think that's a guarantee. To me, that shows that he's a tough guy, and he's willing to put the team ahead of maybe himself. And that's not always a great quality, but it's definitely an admirable quality. Injuries happen when you play his style of crash and bang kind of game. He might want to work towards being a little, I don't want to say safer, but I think you know what I mean when I say you can find ways to avoid the for example, the Corey Sarich hit that gave him a concussion, coming up the wall, kind of looking the wrong way. And so I think as he matures as a player, he's going to get craftier. And like a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins rarely gets hit.
That's right.
Granted, he doesn't play the same style of game as Taylor Hall, but there's still guys out trying to hit him. But, I think it shows a bit of Taylor Hall's character. He's a great player. And I think we can be sure that if the Oilers were playing meaningful games at this point in the year, he wouldn't be having surgery till the offseason.
No, I agree, and that's what I love about this. Hey, he's concussed. You know what we should do? You know what? We might as well, let's just give him surgery. He's concussed anyways.
Handful of games left.
Let's just do it. I agree. I think with age and more experience, he's going to learn how to hopefully miss those checks. I also still think he's going to put on another 15 pounds or so worth of muscle, which will help, stop, hopefully, these types of injuries. So I think a combination of both is going to be a lot better for Taylor Hall in the future. And I don't think this offseason, this injury in the offseason is going to be that big of a deal. I hope not, at least. God, I hope not.
Yeah. He's not the first guy to play that style of game. Yeah. And there are many players before him that played long careers playing that style of game. So I think he's just going through a bad stretch like everyone else who has played for the Oilers in the past couple of years.
Well, speaking of bad, we'll keep talking about the Oilers here, of course. Now on to another strange story. They recalled Magnus PRV on Friday, only to be told he wasn't eligible to play. What went on there, and how is this another embarrassing story for the Oilers, Jim?
Well, I guess you only get so many post-trade deadline transactions with your AHL club. And I think it's, to kind of protect maybe the integrity of the AHL. Like, say if the Oilers decided, tomorrow to send down Hall, Eberle, the gamut of players to give the AHL club a boost in the playoffs. I think that's the spirit of the rule.
Right.
So you get I think 4, right?
Right.
And by the time they called up Magnus, they thought they had one left, and they didn't. So they were told, nope, sorry, you can't. So PRV was going to play, from what reports say, he was going to play with Eberle and Nugent-Hopkins, get a bit of almost a bit of a reward for being a good teammate throughout the year. And now, not to mention NHL money, and now he's just back down to the A. I think he had to go, and I don't know about you, but traveling's not that fun.
No.
I mean, it's just, well, so, playing right here, playing right back, it's got to be kind of a bit of a rough situation for him, but it doesn't make the Oilers look good because 4 is not a high number, and a lot of people are cracking jokes to that effect.
Well,
but it seems like it was just a bit of a mix-up, and it's a shame that it makes the Oilers look the way it makes the Oilers look.
Yeah, I mean, you and I, we're both journalists. We're not math people, but even I, Jim, can go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Oh no, Jeff, you're not allowed to go to 5. Okay.
You know what? I'd probably make that mistake.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd lose track. Who do we call up?
Who? What? 4, 5?
Let's just call him up. Yeah.
Let's just do it. We won't get in trouble. Let's just do it.
I'm forgetful. Is what I am.
That's right. Other big news in the NHL is that the Montreal Canadiens fired GM Pierre Gauthier months after firing their head coach. Could Toronto be the next team to take that road? Hopefully.
Yeah, well, no one's really saying too much. It seems like Brian Burke's got a pretty solid footing where he is, but you have to think it's a possibility. They're getting smoked on a regular basis. I think they lost 8-0 and 7-1 within the span of about 2 weeks or something. And this is a juncture in the year where teams are supposed to really play for pride and try and ruin other teams' playoff hopes. If you're not going to be in it, try and mess it up for somebody else.
Exactly.
And if you have nothing to play for, you find something to play for. And if you're losing 8-0 and 7-1, and they've won a few games in between, but I think the consensus is that it's a terrible team, and no one, they've done the new coach thing too, and it hasn't really worked. But that's a team that really fell off. And when a team falls off the map like Toronto did, sometimes the GM is the next one to go. But I guess it's different in Toronto because they know that they'll sell out. They know that people might be mad, but they'll still buy merchandise. They'll still buy tickets. They'll still go to all the events. So, I don't know, maybe Burke's lucky in that respect.
Well, I mean, the Toronto Maple Leafs are the biggest, flashiest, showiest team in the league, make the most money, and Brian Burke is the biggest, showiest, blowhardiness, GM in the league, and he's got nothing but confidence, and maybe that's what he's got. He's got sure footing, and he can just do what he wants. Personally, I'm just never been a fan of Burke, but if he's going to be anywhere, let him be in Toronto and let him fail, I guess. That's just my Western non-journalist, complete biased opinion. Yeah.
I think I agree.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's move on to the latest bounty news from the NFL. Boy, I've been love watching this story as it comes up and then talking about it here. So the New Orleans Saints coach Sean Payton, he's going to appeal that 1-year suspension that he got from the NFL, as is his GM Mickey Loomis, who was out for 8 games, and linebackers coach Joe Vitt. He's the guy, Jim, I think, who's out indefinitely. And now the NFLPA is getting involved, which it's about time. What's going on there?
According to reports on ESPN, they want the NFL to turn over some of the information from its investigation, because right now the NFLPA doesn't really know anything, and we talked about that before last week.
Yeah.
I wonder why they've been so quiet. Well, now we know they don't know what the NFL has uncovered. There was a quote from Sean Payton that the NFL told them to stop the program in 2009.
Oh wow!
So I don't know. I think there's a few other wrinkles to this story that we've yet to find out. But the NFLPA says it's hard to discuss the matter when they don't know what's going on and they don't know what the NFL knows. And really, it's a big mess. It really, really is.
Yeah.
I found it interesting, though, that Sean Payton is involved in potentially trying to find another coach for this year. You wouldn't think that would be his fall under his job.
No, you'd think as a suspended guy like that, you kind of let it go, unless he's sure he's coming back. Like the Saints are just like, okay, we'll get an interim coach, and Peyton, you'll be coming back after your year, I guess, which is really interesting.
And I mean, maybe he's suspended for a year because he should have stopped it. But if he's not the guy who was actively doing it, then I guess it's not you wouldn't necessarily just cut ties with him just because he would. Because if the GM suspended too, he probably knew about it too. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wonder how far up or how...
It's a mess, though.
Oh, it's a complete mess. It's going to be interesting to see over the next little while, that's for sure. Let's move on to the GABBYs now, Jim. These are the good and bad by you. We take the best and the worst in the world of sport and usually make fun of it. We're not going to make fun of this first one, Jim. The first good goes to the Norfolk Admirals of the AHL, who picked up their 22nd straight win on Friday night. It's the longest ever win streak by any pro hockey team in North America. And for those of you who always look for an asterisk, only one of those games were decided by a shootout. So good for them, good for the Admirals. And going into the AHL playoffs, looking pretty good.
Yeah, 22, not bad, not bad.
Not bad.
How about a good to a number that's a lot higher than 22? Mm-hmm. Over double, 49-year-old Jamie Moyer.
That's some good math there, Jim.
Thank you. In the Colorado Rockies pitching rotation, and will start the team's second game of the season. Not only is he almost 50, but Moyer is coming off an injury that cost him an entire season. And, that just makes the road back even harder. But attaboy. Yeah,
totally attaboy. Good for him. I wish I could be... I'm just about 30 and can barely get off the couch, so good for him to be 50. Speaking of getting off the couch, let's give a good to Sidney Crosby, who, as I imagined it, was on the couch a lot while he was out with his head injury. We all had our doubts, but Crosby has come back to the Pittsburgh Penguins lineup. Absolutely dominated Jim. He's taken hits, even took a puck to the face. The Pens look that much more dangerous with Crosby in the lineup heading into the playoffs, and I don't know how they're not the odds-on favorite to win the Cup. That's my pick, definitely coming out of the East, as the Pittsburgh Penguins.
The only thing that can stop them is the Philadelphia Flyers beat the crap out of them for 4 to 7 games.
That's right.
That you're right, though. That's a machine of a team right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Got Evgeny Malkin leading the point race by about 10 points.
God, he looks good too
putting up
right
points
now.
with Crosby back. That was my concern, that maybe Crosby being back would slow things down on his end, but
doesn't seem like it.
No. On the bad side, let's start with MLS player Colin Clark. The Houston Dynamo midfielder has been suspended for yelling a homophobic slur at a ball boy during a recent game. The kid didn't get him the ball fast enough or rolled it to him instead of throwing it to him or something. Unlucky for Clark, the sideline microphones actually picked up him yelling something that rhymes with something that I probably shouldn't say.
Yeah.
But he's, of course, out with the apologies, and the team's out with a statement. And these things happen. I mean, a lot of time these particular words aren't necessarily meant in, the connotation that's other people use them in, but you just can't do it. What are you yelling at a kid for, man?
Totally. How much money are you making? Quite a bit more than this kid. Let him go. I understand it's important to you, but come on. Yeah.
It's a kid, man.
It's a kid. Exactly. Let's continue on the bad side to Reebok for trying to steal Nike's thunder on the Tim Tebow front just before Nike was about to just before Nike was about to unveil as the new supplier of the NFL team uniforms. Tebow was traded to the Jets, and Reebok, in their infinite wisdom, I like this, sent out a whack of Tebow merchandise. You've got to like the competition. Reebok versus Nike. Good for them.
I guess under the letter of the law, they were probably still the official supplier.
Yeah, that's right.
Until that date. But I don't blame Nike for being a little bit ticked off.
Yeah, wanted to make some money. I like it.
Yeah. Finally, a bad to college sports, Jeff.
Yes.
USA Today reported last week that March Madness betting has surpassed the legal wagering totals of pro football.
Wow.
Never mind the off-the-grid betting that goes on. And you're thinking to yourself, Jim, why is that a bad?
Jim, why is that a bad?
Well, we're talking about an organization here, Jeff.
Yeah.
Where a player can be suspended for, accepting cover into a nightclub or, is that 2 for 1? It is for you. All right, thanks.
Suspended.
Hey, you got that pack of gum from 7-Eleven you didn't pay? Oh. But it's just another kind of strange example of, here's the NCAA making a ton of money, generating a ton of money, ton upon ton of money. And the players, yes, they get college scholarships, but I don't know. It seems hypocritical in a lot of ways.
I agree. We've talked about this before on 15 Minutes of Fame, that this is totally out of whack, and these guys gotta pick it up here. You're absolutely right. There's good bad on that one, if you will. Well, the punchline this week, Jim, as everybody on 15 Minutes of Fame knows, is my favorite every 4 years summer sport.
Jeff, I don't mean to ruin your day here, pal.
It's okay.
But the International Volleyball Federation came out with some news this week.
I know.
And I hope you're sitting down. But
I
female beach volleyball athletes can now choose between bikini outfits and shorts and sleeved tops.
What?
So, yeah, that's the way the world is, man. And,
Unbelievable.
I mean, London is a bit rainy and gray a lot of time. It might be nice in the summer, I don't know. But that's the way she goes, man.
That's just bad luck.
I'm sure there will be some still.
Well,
there'll be some.
You hope that you go through waiting every 4 years. That's all you wait for, and you know what? Now I just have to hope that the Jamaican team, that they still understand the importance of, obviously, the importance of the uniform to the playing of volleyball, and that the less they wear, the better.
If you miss the ball, and that shirt's flapping in the wind.
Then that's going to cost you a gold medal? You got to think about these things. Totally.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, folks, on that fantastic or utterly not fantastic note, our 15 Minutes of Fame are up for this week. Join us again next week when we get a whole new 15 Minutes of Fame. In the meantime, I am, as always, the biggest fan of Jamaican volleyball sports in the world.
Jeff Driscoll, and I'm Jim Kerr.
All right, have a good week, folks. Oh, that was funny.
I think you meant Brazilian.
Did I say Jamaican? Hey, I'll take Jamaican too. All of them. Brazilian, Jamaican.